Did you listen to much Run the Jewels? I think I introduced you to Run the Jewels
You
back in
did.
2010.
You did. I wouldn't say it's in my regular, playlists, but from time to time, if I just want to something that's going to hit hard, and
They
man,
go
that's it.
hard. They
Yeah.
go hard. For the uninitiated, it's kind of like trap music, Southern trap, Atlanta, for the South, where it's almost too much bass. So if you have a good system, it's pretty cool to listen to. But then you have a dude from New York, LP, in the group. And so Run the Jewels is an interesting take on how a rap group or a band comes together. They mixed it up. So they knew, the bands that are making money quietly, or the groups that are artists that are making music quietly, are kind of doing things that most people don't really aren't aware of, and that's licensing. There's money to be made. A good way to make money as a musician is to license your stuff for movies, TV, commercials. And so doing that, and sometimes they license up front before they even make something. So Killer Mike and LP, which are Run the Jewels, were working with the Cartoon Network, specifically the Adult Swim people.
Hmm.
So have you ever watched like Rick and Morty?
Yeah. Yeah. I've
It's
seen some episodes
hilarious.
of
My
that.
kids
Yeah.
introduced me to that like last year. It is ridiculous. It's if you love non sequitur,
Mm-hmm.
witty
Mm-hmm.
humor that is often off color, it's just hilarious. Not a it is the epitome of what Adult Swim is all about. It's not for kids. I'm gonna turn my mic down, but I'm starting to peak a little bit.
Does
There we go.
the Robot Chicken still play on the Adult Swim?
I don't know.
Okay.
Maybe. Like I
Okay.
said, I don't really watch TV, especially
Yeah.
that. So that we're getting old. But Rick and Morty, hilarious. And it just I don't sit down and just kind of space on TV. I sit
Yeah.
down with
Right.
purpose. I'm watching a
Mm-hmm.
sporting event, or I'm watching a
Right.
movie, or I'm watching a show I'm into, because I don't spend that much time just noodling. But anyway, back to Run the Jewels.
Yeah.
So they're involved in that, and the Adult Swim people at Cartoon Network essentially license the entire full album and finance it getting made. So that's Run the Jewels, and they just number the albums. Run the Jewels 1, because at the time they both had solo careers and they were doing their own thing, and it hit. It was this underground hit. One of those, and the music was never going to be on the radio at any time period in history. It is super. It's Adult Swim, hip hop, dick jokes, but
Mm-hmm. Right.
really powerful messages in there. Because if you've ever heard Killer Mike speak during election cycles, he's an incredible orator, and has a lot to say, and by all means seems really intelligent, and is an entrepreneur and a businessman. He has a hair salon in the Atlanta Hawks arena,
Whoa.
so you can watch the Hawks play and get your hair did.
Oh
Pretty
wow.
awesome.
That's
Uh,
cool.
Yeah,
It's
so
different.
they've done 4 albums now. The third one is my favorite. It's top to bottom. I think it's their best album. They won a lot of awards. I think almost in retro for their catalog for the fifth one. It had some deep meaning, or the fourth one, excuse me. And good album, but really just powerful, loud music. But here's what I've seen on the socials. I've seen Killer Mike in photos in the studio, and I think LP too, in the studio with Rick Rubin.
Dang.
Okay.
Dang.
So you say dang, so you know the weight of that.
Yeah.
Tell me what you know about Rick Rubin.
Man, he's like a sage of music. That dude is so he knows how to get the purity and the truest art form, and he knows how to put it into words.
Yeah.
And so when you listen to him talk, I mean, he is so wise, and I love the way he puts it, and he gets rid of all the fluff and all the fakeness. And so for me, when I hear that, I'm thinking, man, he's got to be working with them in a way to get the most truest, purest expression of what it is they're trying to do, and get some of that pressure out of the way to create something, and just get them in there just to create it.
Right. And he kind of got his start in New York with the Beastie Boys, LL Cool
Mm-hmm.
J, kind of the Def
Mm-hmm.
Jam thing. But he found a niche. He basically found this thing. What he does, what nobody else does, is he takes what I would consider niche music. Sonically, it's not a broad appeal, because it's it's too hard, it's too
Mm-hmm.
vulgar, it's too niche, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he takes a group like that has a cult following, makes an album with them, and they blow up and they become mainstream. So you see it time and time again,
Mm-hmm.
like Slayer, 1986, Raining Blood. Before that, they were just this niche speed metal band in the 80s. And that's, he came and said, we can make something that can go to the masses, but still retain, what you are all about. He did the same with Public Enemy,
Mm-hmm.
Danzig, his self-titled
Man,
album, as I'm looking through his catalog.
it's a
People
legend.
you haven't heard about, right?
Right.
Um, Even country stuff. He's done what are the girls
Dixie
that
Chicks.
the Dixie Chicks, they were kind of just in the country space, and he said, no, I think we're more than country. And so he took them into the studio and took them to another level. And probably most, I think the one that really epitomizes what he does by taking niche music and making it popular is what he did with the Red Hot Chili Peppers with Blood Sugar Sex Magic, where they were a very niche, that
Mm-hmm.
funk,
Yeah. Yeah.
because when you look at the other bands in the moment before he came, he did this, they were probably more popular. When I look at like Infectious Grooves, Suicidal Tendencies,
Mm-hmm.
they were more popular in that movement on the West Coast. Being from California, I was close to it. And then Rick Rubin came in and took probably the third or fourth best band or most popular band in that space and took over the world. And to this day, the Red Hot Chili Peppers are everywhere. Worked
Yeah.
with Tom Petty and, of course, Johnny Cash,
Man.
where he had Johnny Cash do a bunch of albums where he's covering music and just
Mm-hmm.
doing Johnny Cash
Mm-hmm.
style. And a lot of people would say their favorite, that they prefer the Johnny Cash version of
Yeah.
Nine Inch Nails'
Yeah.
"Hurt"
Right.
to Trent Reznor's version of it. And
Mm-hmm.
so that's his niche, taking music that that people, it's from a niche and brings it to the mainstream. You can look through his catalog and it's just incredible what he's done. Um, yeah, like I'm looking through here, obviously the Johnny Cash stuff,
Well, it's going to
Chili
be really
Peppers.
interesting to see what comes out the other side of that,
Yes,
and how that sounds and where that lands. Because I mean, that sounds like a recipe for a
Run the
total
Jewels
win.
is the prototype. It's the archetype of what he's been doing. So if he can take Run the Jewels, which admittedly is not for everybody,
Right.
it's hard. Um, it's got a deep message, but it's covered and coated in dick jokes. So if you
Mm-hmm.
don't like hard rap, or you're turned off by trap sound type of stuff, it's just, it's not for everybody. Um, but I think if Rick Rubin can get his hands on it, I would love
Mm-hmm.
to see if Rick Rubin and Run the Jewels can turn something out in 2025. It looks like maybe they've been working on something. So I am curious.